pretty much. And for the most part, they were still entertaining. Like the visuals, like the spectacle were, the visuals were incredible. Like they're amazing. I mean, they were okay. They were okay. They could have been better, but we got what we got.
That's why I said I have 50, like I'm 50-50 on it, because 50% of me is like, oh my God, this is great, visually, the characters, some fight sequences. But then the other half, I'm like, you dropped the ball on a lot of things that you could have brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
Played us, and
yeah, I feel the same way, because I remember Force Awakens came out in 2015. That was a year after I graduated from high school, so that was like peak. I went out and like got a PS4, Darth Vader PS4, because that was Star Wars Battlefront, and I was like, yeah, Star Wars is back. Like you, Mike, that was the first one I've seen all three of them in theaters. I think, yeah, I obviously didn't see the original trilogy in theaters, and the prequels, I only saw Phantom Menace in theaters, and I saw Attack on Bootleg and Revenge when it got on Fox, because in Chicago they put all of the Fox movies on the local Fox networks after it, like a couple of months after the release. So that was when I saw all three of those movies and talked about that. But yeah, the sequel trilogy, I agree. Overall, I like the concepts, but a lot of the stuff was missed opportunities after missed opportunities after missed opportunities. Yeah. So it just, we got Aaron that says they exist, aka they are subpar trash. We got Mike who said he's 50-50 on it, meaning he can go either way on any given day. Avia applauds the visuals because of the time that they put. And I say fuck Raylo stands and everything they stand for, because that is not cool and toxic, and y'all just didn't want to see a cool interracial relationship between Ray and Finn. That
it was there. Like it was there. Like their Finn and Ray's relationship. At first it seemed like it was more of a annoying brother-sister type relationship, and then it kind of went towards a little romantic. And then they tried to go back on it in 9 when Finn was like, Ray, I need to tell you something. She's like, okay, but he never said what it was. Like he never said what he was going to tell her, and just like,
yeah, okay.
Okay.
You have a lot of missed opportunities, but that was the cold open for the video. Sure. That was the cold open for the video. We've been recording.
Because he was in love with somebody
me and Mike are like,
So I have another hot take. Oh, I have a hot take when it comes to Finn and the other character in episode 9, the other black female character in episode 9. How come the only two, like besides Lando, the only other two main black characters are the ones given names as opposed to already having them?
Yep. Well, if we don't count if we don't count Mace Windu or any of the like supplementary characters that can go in and out of canon like that, like it's crazy to me that
specifically speaking in this new trilogy, in this new trilogy.
Yeah.
How come they? Like I was always thinking about that. Like, wait, so Finn was given a name as opposed to, I get it, the stormtroopers, they brainwashed them and everything. They took them from their homes and brainwashed them and gave them, new names. But doesn't that remind you of something?
You know what, y'all?
In America, like for 400 years, doesn't that remind you of something?
You know what, y'all? I see where this direction of the episode is going, and I knew it, which is why I didn't give a general outline at all in the lead ups to this. Because y'all, it's time to give y'all what y'all want. It's time to kick the sequel trilogy in the head. And like that's what we have to do. Like,
oh, that's what we're doing. Okay, let's get it.
So let me do the intro proper. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Star Wars Month. It's it's MD in the clutch, here to give y'all our thoughts, and opinions on Star Wars, specifically the sequel trilogy that ran from 2015 to 2019, which focused on Rey, Finn, Poe, and the returning cast members from the original trilogy as they go up against the First Order with the Resistance. Now, the sequel trilogy is very recent. There is a lot of good things in it. Well, a lot of good concepts that, in our opinion, I think we can agree should come back and be expounded upon because of how lazily it was done and as it was happening in real time. Because let's just call a spade a spade. No matter your feelings on either of the movies, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, or Rise of Skywalker, it is very clear one thing, and it's the most important thing: there was no vision for this trilogy. There was no connective tissue. There was no real rhyme or reason to do it. And that is a very big black mark and detriment to the movie, to this trilogy. They didn't have, it really just seems like they didn't have an outline on anything. It's just like, and not to sound like, oh, your typical Disney basher or Lucasfilm or Kathleen Kennedy basher, but it needs to be said. It doesn't seem like they really cared about doing anything substantial. They just wanted to push out a Star Wars trilogy, you know. And I normally don't like throwing that out there any which way, unless it's Warner Brothers, who just out and out in neon signs tell you this is not substantial, this is nothing of significance, we're just trying to money launder. The sequel trilogy was just, oh hey, we own Star Wars now, let's do something with it. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of good things that could have been done well, and at best it was done okay-ish, and it makes you want to invest in these characters with different people. But like, yeah, the sequel trilogy, it's nice, cute next to gorgeous even, but it's definitely the weakest of the Star Wars pantheon. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our emotions out the way first. And maybe if we have time, we'll come around to the things we absolutely love. But starting from the bottom, which is the omnipotent one, Darth Geek, what is your biggest issues with the sequel trilogy?
I think it was a lot of let on of storyline and character development that did not happen. That I feel like that just wanted to attract audience to the movie, but didn't actually do it. So yeah. I don't know, because like I said, I'm 50-50 on it. I enjoyed it. I just feel like certain things could have been fleshed out more, or certain character development should have been done differently. I do feel like Finn should have been a Jedi.
Absolutely.
100%. I feel like that's one of the most misleading things. So it's like, that's really the only biggest thing that stand out to me, is that I feel like y'all showed us him with this lightsaber, but you didn't let him actually. I feel like that's one development that they could have had. Like, even when they were separated in parts of the movie, he could have been working on like building up with the Force and stuff like that, building his own development with the Force. Like, and I feel like they really dropped the ball with that, because I think we would have got our first Black Jedi basically, right? Well,
Yeah.
not first, but
Mace.
like,
Well, Mace was first, but yeah, like someone younger, like someone who's
yeah,
just starting. Like, yeah,
it would have
Yes.
been kind of cool to just see that. But yeah, I'm 50-50 because I saw these in theaters, and in theaters the experience was like, but the rewatch, it's like, you could have did that different, but okay, girl.
A lot.
Like you could have, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with Mike. Like, I'm with Mike because the Finn holding the lightsaber was like the biggest finesse of the whole franchise. Like, just watching the cast, when I remember John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, they put on their Instagrams like their reactions. And we're like, oh yeah, like we're gonna get like just seeing how excited they were. It's like, yeah, we're gonna get a black Jedi. We're gonna, Rey's gonna do her thing. Like it looked like it was gonna be a really great film. And it was just Finn's storyline was just like y'all could have done. I agree 1,000% with Mike said. Like y'all really could have made him like insanely strong. Like y'all could have made him like really force sensitive and have him, come in tune with the force. And there's just so much that they could have done.
Yes. Big money.
Yeah. I know that face.
And I'm gonna ask you guys a couple of questions about this, so don't feel like so if you want to save some rounds in the chamber.
No, I mean, it's just a very nuanced take, I guess. I feel like the sequel trilogy, even though it did some good things, it's everything wrong with modern filmmaking. It relied too heavily on nostalgia. It tried to get woke points and lied to its audiences, like it lied to the LGBTQ plus side of the audience. It lied to the BLM side of the audience. It lied to the audience who wanted female protagonists. Like the lack of connectivity. It was a perfect storm of bullshit. It just, that says a lot about the management at the time. We know how we know. And it's just really disappointing. Like you said earlier, Q, they just wanted to make a trilogy and they didn't care how they got to it. They didn't really think about, how to bridge the gap between the old and the new audiences. And it just created like this weird wormhole now of the fandom menace where it's, you got the, we know. We don't have to get into the political stuff, but we know what's out there. And it's just, that just shows that's not how you that's not how you entertain, and I think they lost their way of what George was trying to do with the first 6. And, I think it also shows why there are certain other movies that had big space battles that never happened. Yep.
I
don't know what to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this, and this is probably going to be one of the most controversial things I not only say on this episode, but also in general, if you know me. But the sequel trilogy is a great example of why you sometimes need an MCU-esque formula, an MCU-esque outline to your story. Because like, let's just call a spade a spade. Star Wars is not a indie film, nor is it designed to be a one-off instance. Star Wars is a engrossing fantasy world that when you make one, you have to understand that it's either going to tie into something else or be a long running story. You cannot approach it as standalone films. You can't. It has to be, if you're going to make a Star Wars, it has to be a part of a larger narrative. That's just what it is. And I think the problem with the sequel trilogies is that with J.J. Abrams coming on, because for those who don't know, or rather don't remember, J.J. didn't want to do any sequels to the sequel trilogy. He said, I'm only doing the first one, and the next 2 movies can be done by whoever, and it can do whatever. He didn't care. He was in like, because he kind of knew what carrying the weight of making a Star Wars was going to be, especially in a Star Wars that did not have George Lucas's input or blessing. Essentially, he knew what that entailed. So he said, yeah, this is a one-time deal for me, and I'm out of here. We know that not to be true because of the reception The Last Jedi got, but to me that was stupid to allow that. I'm not even going to mince words. It shouldn't have, it just should have been, okay, JJ, we're going to need you for these 3 movies, dude. Saddle up. And no, or you're not, or don't make them, or find someone else to make them that would commit to that. Or as the MCU does, which I know a lot of people don't like. So I'm going to counter this statement by saying, like the first 3 DCEU movies were supposed to be with Zach, Patty, and David, have these directors sit down, craft a story, and understand where point A, B, and C are going to do. And then you don't have things like, oh, Finn and Rey and Finn and Poe having tight relationships that people can read into in certain directions. Then in the second movie, have none of them share any real screen time at all, and then try to tie it back together in the third movie where it feels out of nowhere and you're just supposed to accept that, oh, they're, you know, a lot of time has passed and their relationship together has grown. That's very jarring. Or with Kylo Ren, is his story about him slowly rejecting the dark side or carving his own path? No, actually, it's kind of a mixture of both by the third one, and he dies. Or Snoke. Oh, was Snoke supposed to be a big bad, or was he always just supposed to be a foil for the inevitable return for Palpatine? Absolutely not to the second one. But, you know, when you're trying to course correct, our favorite word, you try to do as much as you can. And like I said, when it comes to the individual characters, when it comes to Rey, Finn, and Poe, I think that those are amazing bases of characters that should get more time because of the performances Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and Oscar Isaac did. Unfortunately, I'm almost certain none of them at this point in time want to ever look at a Star Wars for good reason. So the likelihood of that might be lower than most. But I genuinely feel like that is one of the major problems with the sequel trilogy, is that they did not try to connect them when this absolutely should have been a thing. So anything y'all want to touch on individually? Anything? I'm gonna leave it to y'all. What's something?
It was, JJ's mystery box style of storytelling absolutely ruined the trilogy, because he did all this setup and nobody could, tap in his, his mind. And that was the point of that, BS mystery box. It's not, I think nobody sent him the memo that it's not the mid 2000s anymore. And that goes back to me saying, like, that's everything wrong with modern filmmaking. And then with the sequel, I'm not going to rag on Johnson too much, but his him writing the script while episode 7 was being filmed, and there was like no conversations about what was, what the plans were.
Wait,
that
what?
was just, yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Wait, so while episode 7 was filming, he was writing 8?
Yeah, just based off of like different people's accounts of what was going on. It was like, oh, okay, well then this is what I'm gonna do here.
JJ was, when I say JJ was super in and out with episode 7, I mean, he was like, I don't want to know or be a part of anything other than this movie. I don't want to conceptualize.
Y'all, they should have canceled the whole goddamn franchise then. Not the franchise.
It was a shit show.
No, because that doesn't make sense. Like
that ruins the storytelling. That ruins the story building. Like, there has to be some kind of cohesiveness, which is why it makes sense why 7 and 8 are so disconnected. Which why it makes sense.
Yes. Trying to be subversive. See what happens when you try to be subversive, y'all.
And it could have connected with them down being so separated. It's just that if I'm writing 8 and I don't know anything that's happening in 7 because you're filming 7 right now and you don't want to tell me anything, like, you could have gave him like key points, like this, that would be key points of what the movie is, and he could have took that to work with it. But that's fucking wild.
That's one of the biggest tales of this is the difference in demeanor between seeing Luke at the end of episode 7 and seeing Luke at the beginning of episode 8.
Speaking of
that is the biggest tale.
And it's just like how I said, 7 is pretty much just trying to be like episode 4. Episode 8 was as far as like Ray going to train with Luke. It's like Luke going to train with Yoda, and it's like, can we try something different? Can we try? I mean, I get it. You know, the whole reason is her trying to find Luke and learning the Force, but can we try it in a different way instead of him being isolated? Like, can we try something? Because we've seen this before. Like we've seen this. A young Jedi just tuning into the Force, going to train with the isolated Jedi Master. Like we've seen that.
Yep.
The only difference was Luke's pessimism.
And I'll say this: when I remember when The Last Jedi came out, I loved it. I loved the subversiveness of it. I loved the fact that if you bam non-factored anything that was supposed to come after that movie and The Force Awakens, and you just zeroed in on what that story is telling you, it's a nice bit of subversion and continue and acknowledgement of Star Wars, I thought at the beginning, because it's like, okay, the concept of family curses, that even if we try our best to avoid them, sometimes you can make a mistake and that can just ruin everything again. And Luke, I felt like his heroism being so strong that he would punish himself rather than try to jump at a chance at another adventure to slay the dark side. And plus understanding what came before, I thought, well, this is all good stuff. But over the years, I have definitely come around that while I still think that in concept that's good, in execution it's just too out there. It's just the whole story, not just Luke's part, but the whole story just feels too not important, or it's not. It's like, how do I say this without really just putting the knife in the back? It just feels like it was trying to be a low rent version of what BVS did without really doing what BVS did.
No, wait, what? What?
When I say that, I don't mean literally beat for beat plot, but I'm saying the concept of deconstructing our heroes and then still allowing them to redeem and understand their place in the story at the end.
How they did it in the third one.
And which one? Are you talking about 9?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to 9. Oh, best believe we'll get to 9.
See, if they had just listened to Mark Hamill, man.
But like what I mean by that, Mike, is that let's compare Superman to Luke, right? In BVS, we all know it. He's trying to make sure he's living up to what being Superman means, him saving people as the world misconstrues his motives and people are conspiring against him, etc., which temporarily causes him to lose sight of if he's really making a help in this world. And then we know that he understands that and he sacrifices himself at the end of the movie. In The Last Jedi, they tried to go for it, but in a different route, by saying that instead of Luke thinking he's the cause of it because of outside factors more or less commentating on it, he is 100% the reason for this, and him punishing himself until he realizes that, yeah, maybe he should confront this as a way to do it. But to me, looking back, it falls flat because it really doesn't. Luke confronting Kylo on the Salt Planet does not move him towards going back to being Ben Solo. That doesn't happen until episode 9 with Leia sacrificing herself and then seeing the Han Solo maybe Force Ghost. So to me, it just felt like, oh, you wanted to put Luke in a predicament that seemed uncharacteristic and then have him come back, but he ultimately solves nothing in doing it. It just is a cool visual of him using force projection and then dying. And it kind of felt like it was trying to take beats from BVS, where that was, contrary to popular belief, a little bit more, not even a little bit, a lot more clear and concise and to the point. There. I said it.
BVS understood its audience and its characters. And once again, I got to point out, Mark Hamill basically gave free ideas, and they didn't take them because in episode 7, when Finn was getting chased down by Kylo, and then the lightsaber started moving, Mark Hamill pointed out that should be Luke who got the lightsaber, and then he would have taught Finn how to be a Jedi. Thus, you subvert the whole idea, and then you'd have Rey come in, and you'd have that whole spiel, but you could end up subverting the idea of what it means to be a Jedi. Somebody could actually be taught how to use the Force instead of it being, bestowed upon you. But like I said, that you got to understand your characters, and I just don't think anybody did because they were too focused on trying to make $1 billion movie.
Yep.
And a video game that was ass because it didn't have a story mode. That Darth Vader PS4 though, it was fire though. I don't regret buying that. I bought that with my first paycheck at my job. The first job I had, I bought that at my first paycheck and bought that PS4. Hey, you had something that you was gonna say?
Oh,
that's exactly what Kathleen Kennedy said.
Facts. Woo. All righty. So that was our little soliloquy. Mike, you got anything to say about episode 8? Any more to say about episode 8?
No.
You still shook about that him writing it as they should.
Yeah, because I just thought it just I don't know. Like, it's just because I just feel like that's a missed opportunity where, like you said, you could have had the 3 pillars. You could have pictured 3 directors. If y'all knew JJ didn't want to do but one, y'all could have been like, okay, how about this? Boom, 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 boom. But I don't know. It's like a whole nother, like I have a whole nother, like that 50-50 done went down.
Now it's 75-25.
Right. 75-25. Because that just it feels like you say you just wanted to put out $1 billion movie. You just wanted to use these characters, and instead of actually taking the time and using them and actually developing them, you could have had something even better than what you gave fans. And I think that's why it's so divided with new, old, and those in between. Because I'm an in-betweener, so it's like I love it for the visuals and everything, but if you're not gonna give me the actual storytelling and actually put in the work, what's the point of actually enjoying it?
Facts. Shooby-doo, run. So
I guess that's it, right?
Nah, because we got one more movie to talk about.
I'm just playing.
This is the most. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I watched this movie within the last week and a half. I saw it in theaters, and I've never mad harder with The Force Awakens. I had emotions in it. I remember my mom and brother got mad at me because I said, yo, what the fuck, when Han Solo died. They were like, so you can't say that. There were kids in that theater, and their parents don't want to hear it. I'm like, to this day, I still don't care about them kids or me saying that, because that was shocking to me, and I don't care. But I've never been more mad out on a Star Wars movie than on episode 9, because that movie to me was the most toothless, course correction-y, let's try to make as most people happy / make them forget about anything they were mad about attempt at a Star Wars movie I've ever seen. What you can never say about the OG trilogy or the prequel trilogy is that they ever course corrected to appease people who didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
The original trilogy, George had we know it was constantly up in the air, but he was not changing Return of the Jedi. When they locked in, everybody knew that that's what it was, and they were not going to go back and fuck with it. The prequels, for sure, they were locked in. They said, not only are we locked in, we gonna give y'all extended lore for this particular part of Star Wars for the next 10 years to lock it in even more. That is how locked in we are with the prequels. Fuck your Jar Jar Binks hate, your Anakin hate, fuck all of that. Y'all gonna get these characters and then some. And then we're gonna give y'all a brand new character who's gonna be y'all favorite, but we'll get to her next time. With this trilogy, it was constantly, oh, we're gonna do this. No, fuck that. We're gonna do this. All right, we're gonna go back to doing that. But there was never nothing to do with that. So we're just pretending. So episode 9, they brought back JJ because it was originally gonna be Colin Trevorrow. I don't know how Colin was able to take a step back and actually look at episode 8 and then go, okay, I can do something with that. I know what they did with that movie, and I know where I want to theoretically go with that. It was going to be originally called Star Wars Duel of the Fates. But then Disney said, nah, we don't want to rock the boat anymore. We're just going to bring JJ back, and he's going to close out the trilogy. And yeah. Whew. What to say about Rise of Skywalker? If a movie has a trailer or TV spot that homages / references one of the most popular things about the past movies as a motif to get you excited for the new movie, it's going to be ass. Or at the very least, uninspired. Because they made sure to drop a trailer with Duel of the Fates, with the Duel of the Fates theme, a theme that was not used in any of the other movies. As a matter of fact, with the trailers, they specifically used the themes that were relevant to the story. Duel of the Fates have nothing to do with Rise of Skywalker. It's just the greatest Star Wars song, period. And they wanted you to invoke your memories of that song. And whenever they do that, you already know there's nothing substantial to it. It's just a nothing burger. Like that's the reason I'm still just stuck on these other things. It's a nothing burger. Palpatine is back because they need a real big bad that's relevant. Kylo has his helmet on because he's back to being a bad guy again. He no longer just wants to destroy the Sith like he said in episode 8. Oh, Rey's in a Kenobi or anything like that. She's actually a Palpatine because we need to have her face a dark side version of her, which is still mommy, but we're not going to go there. Oh, you wanted Finn to be a Jedi? Well, too bad. We'll just say he may or may not vaguely have force sensitivity because that's meeting you halfway, isn't it? Also, we want John Boyega to stop roasting us in interviews. That's making us look bad. Oh, you wanted Finn and Poe to be in a relationship? How about this? We get Kerry Russell, put her in a mask for 90% of her screen time and make it vaguely like they were in a relationship. You don't care? Good. You forgot about you wanting Finn and Poe to be in a relationship. Rose, the character that got hated and ran off of social media, instead of giving her a bigger role as a middle finger to the people and races that didn't like her, let's reduce her role and make her have a non-factor so people can stop yelling at us about that. Leia with the lightsaber, that'll distract you that we wasted Carrie Fisher's last time in Star Wars with absolutely nothing to do. Oh, here's Mark Hamill. If we make him hopeful, that hopefully will make him stop talking bad about the sequel trilogy too. What else? A wheel droid, Babu Freak, Force Dyad. I was hoping the dog was going to bark again. That's kind of my mid and stopping point.
No, they need to be quiet. That's why.
Lando, I guess. Oh, they had Ahsoka in the last scene. You know, they can move stuff like. If this, this is the only way I can describe this movie because I swear there's nothing connecting these things together at all. Some random dude that you're supposed to know was a Emperor supporter in the original trilogy, but I swear to God, I've never seen him in any previous Star Wars movies or TV shows or cartoons before then. It's Rey and Kylo kiss.
Like that part really like threw me. I was like,
why?
What? Why? Like they're supposed to hate each other. Like why?
At the very least, she's supposed to be like, okay, I want you redeemed because of the memory of your father. And Star Wars does that. And they expect us to go with it. Okay, I get with it. But kiss? Like,
I mean, I get it because, in The Last Jedi, Snoke, he said, he was connecting them, and that's why they were able to, see each other by using the Force, and that's how they became a little bit how that's how they became closer, started to understand each other. I mean, I get that. I understand that. But it's like,
but they quickly retconned. They went, oh, we want. Oh, you thought Snoke was that powerful and that influential? Psych! It's actually Rey and Kylo because they are Force descendants of strong gene pool, and they can do things that are the things with the dudes and the lightsabers and the stuff. Like, what am I supposed? Like, I literally like sat back and watched this movie, and my first thought was, well, it's not bad, but like, okay. It's like I had to fight my urge of like being, oh yes, Sith mommy, lightning me. And that's never a thing that you should be objectively looking at when you watch a film. You should not be like some damn, I really want Sith Rey to step on me and subjugate. Like that disqualifies any objectivity to looking at this film. So I'm like, once I non-factor my kinks, what else does this movie have? Nothing. It has Wedge Antilles, which is cool if you're a Wedge Antilles guy, but it's y'all take it from here. I'm done.
Yeah. Like, damn.
Why didn't they just have the balls to make Rey
evil?
Potentially the villain, like have her possibly turn to the dark side, be the whole plot. Why didn't they just make Rey and Kylo like Hancock? Like they both can't be in the same area because they're just too.
Because Kathleen Kennedy was like I need them to watch this show called The Mandalorian in next year.
They want this movie to be so bad.
And it's going to be hard for me to do that if I'm fired. So let me just go and do this movie and just have people throw their hands up and be done with it, and then I can just pivot elsewhere.
It should have been a 2-part movie. The first part should have been her.
Yeah.
It should have been her ascending into the dark side. And if you still wanted to kill Kilo, let her kill him at the end. That could have been like the big cliffhanger. And then part 2 could have been, how do we,
redeem
her, counter her or redeem her being who she is and everything like that.
And that's what Finn. Oh my bad.
That's it.
And that's when Finn will really come into the Force and become a top-notch Jedi, because Luke and Leia would have trained him, and then he fought Rey knowing that he doesn't want.
You got the parallels between Luke and Vader. Boom.
Like, and also like how like and this scene sticks in my head, and this just what solidifies everything y'all just got done saying. Like when Palpatine is like saying the speech, and she's like, "Oh, you can save the fleet if you become Empress Palpatine." Like that makes sense for her character, and what the very little they established is her commitment to her found family. Like how powerful would it be if it's like Ben Solo at that point in the movie and Finn, rushing down, let them have the cool lightsaber fights as they're coming to back up Rey, and then it's looking all hopeless, and Rey, because she sees it's no other choice than to stop them from dying, kills Palpatine, and then to show in part 2 to hammer home her strength and resolve, have her like be redeemed, and like she was holding onto it this whole time, and then bam, maybe you have Ben sacrifice himself so Rey can be redeemed and shit like that, and in the cycle of violence and blah 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 blah. And my God, how easy is it for us to just ghostwrite this movie, make it a nothing burger? I mean, like, come on, yo. Like, come on. Like, when you're
so bad.
When your major emotional selling point of this film is Chewie getting his stupid fucking medal from A New Hope, that's really not like, that's not even a major thing people cared about. It's a joke in the community, like, oh, Chewie didn't get his medal, but obviously Chewie is one of the reasons the Death Star blew the fuck up. Nobody's going, oh, Chewbacca's less of a hero because he doesn't have a fucking medal. Like, no, like that is what pisses me off, when these nerd loser directors who are like the most superficial fans of something focus more on these toothless, meatless Easter eggs as legitimate emotional points, rather than refining the story to make sure it makes sense and does service to these characters. Like, I don't know. I like, just to go back to Chewbacca, how do you botch Chewbacca and Leia not embracing when Han Solo dies so Leia can hug Rey Star Wars? Like, how do you botch that? Like, that's like, if we're going to talk about the genesis of knowing that this trilogy was not going to be up to snuff, that's the scene. That's the moment in time where we go, yeah, we might want to clock out. We might want to go ahead and just clock out right now and then put in our 2 weeks, because this ain't it. God, I don't want to sound like one of these loser douchebags who hate these trilogies because it's not theirs.
Well, it's okay, you're not a loser, but you hate this trilogy.
I mean, I don't even hate this trilogy. I have a short coming up very soon.
Better.
Yeah,
it can definitely be better.
Like, I have a short coming out very soon about characters I want to see return to Star Wars canon. Spoilers, but the first people I'm going to talk about are the heroes of the sequel trilogy. I want to see Rey, Finn, Poe, and Rose, and everybody else come back, because I feel like they got done dirty. And if you give somebody who cares about these characters and is willing to map out where they go and give them the ball, all of these complaints are going to be dust in the wind, because they're going to do what they need to do. But yeah, this is a systematic failure. Fuck the prequels being a bastardization of Star Wars. I'm sorry, but the sequel trilogy, a lot of good gowns, a lot of nice gowns,
great gowns, beautiful gowns.
Cute gowns.
A lot of good gowns.
But good God Almighty. Like, the more and more I think about it, y'all, I didn't have an experience like this since I watched Mortal Kombat 2021 and talking with my brother and realizing just how much I did not like that. That's the last time I've had this experience.
Well, that's another topic for another day. So.
No, I just gotta give context.
Ain't no context.
It definitely could have been better. Like, from a story standpoint, it's like, why are you doing this? Like, you're going from here to here to, like, it doesn't have to necessarily have to be a straight line, but y'all are like just all over the place. And it's like, have some type of form of linear storytelling and just communicate. Like, communicate, you know, how, especially if you, like Mike was saying, especially if you know you're going to have different directors on, you know, each film, like, communicate the story and make it be cohesive to where people like film, like people who study film, who make films like us, we look at like, okay, I see what you did there. That was a nice touch. Okay, like, I like that. You know, that was always the thing for me when it came to these sequels.
The medium is the message.
It would have worked. It literally could have worked if they would have did that.
Whew. So let's run it down. Biggest missed opportunity in the sequel trilogy.
The use of their black characters. See, that was always my thing. Like, okay, so you have this black stormtrooper, this former black stormtrooper who leaves, and all he is, because there's something about him, because, like, you know, a lot of stormtroopers, like, don't defect like that. Like, they just, like, so he has a strong willpower. Like, he has very strong willpower because he hasn't killed anyone yet. And, you know, and that willpower could be he's coming in tune with the Force, knowing that this isn't right. Like, this isn't the way. Like, this isn't who I am. And I said, like, I will say it forever till I don't breathe anymore. Like, Finn was done dirty, as well as the Naomi Aki's character in episode 9. Like, her character was done dirty as well, because they were pretty much trying to make like a parallel with Finn. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, see, he's not the only one. He's not the only one who's been through this. Like, so your black characters are the only ones. Like, none of them are special.
Oh
Like,
my
none of
God.
the-
Imagine how powerful that would have been if Finn was a Jedi and hearing that and him being able to galvanize a new Jedi order because of that. Like, imagine how powerful.
Hey, I wonder what that would reflect.
See, think about it. Think about it.
A group of black Jedis. I wonder what that could do.
The Sith, they can feel very force sensitive, strong kids. Like, and that's why they take these kids to become stormtroopers so they get brainwashed and they don't come into it with the Force. And so they use them as brainless soldiers. But imagine finding that out, like Finn finding that out, finding the whole time that he's force sensitive and he can use the Force, he's a Jedi, and then this other black female character has gone through the same thing, and she's also coming into with the Force, and she's also becoming a Jedi. Just the power that has, the social implications that has. Like,
period.
The international implications that they have. You know what I'm saying?
All I'm hearing is that the First Order and the Sith would basically be the Nazis, and Finn would be Fred Hampton leading the Black Panthers. That's all I'm hearing, and it's literally all there. My God, y'all! Oh man, yeah.
Considering that was literally what George was going for in the original trilogy, because
they dropped the ball.
Aaron, what's your biggest missed opportunity?
That was a good one. I guess in my top 3, I think that's definitely my top 1. David just mentioned. Ooh, the fact that we didn't get Luke, Leia, and Han in a scene together. Like, that was one of the biggest.
How do you botch that, JJ?
Like, for real.
At least one.
I fucking understand that. Oh man, you're a big Star Wars fan, and you know the backstage lore. You know Harrison Ford just doesn't like being Han Solo, so I'm gonna give him. How cool is it me being the guy to give Harrison Ford what he wants and killing off Han? No, you idiot! You wait until they are all on screen together, because you don't know, maybe some real life factors might fuck it up. You never know, and then you can't ever do that ever again. But no, J.J. Abrams just had to be the. If you let me stop. If you got anything else to add, Aaron, and if not, Mike, you go.
Next.
What's your biggest missed opportunity, Mike? Because it needs to be said.
And I'm not even gonna say it's the whole Finn Poe situation, because you didn't even have to, do that. But you could have let Poe have some type of communication or relationship with somebody that is, if we're gonna go to the LGBT community, like if you're gonna reach out and like try to, finesse us, why don't you just give him another character that he can be in love with, and have that relationship with? Because if it's not, Finn, then who else could have been, or you could have did it that way. So
that needs to be a quote. Make a T-shirt out of that. If it wasn't going to be Finn, then who could have been?
Yep.
And also, making making Rey more like a protagonist, and not, because it kind of felt like you was putting her there, but then you was taking her away and putting her there and taking her away and putting her there. If you're gonna have her be the main female protagonist, flesh out her storyline. I do wish they would have made her evil though by the end of the whole trilogy. It would have had more substance to what she was battling with, and
Yeah, so the biggest missed opportunity in Star Wars, in my humble opinion, my big ass onion, is that they didn't commit to I'm Rey, just Rey. I know that's a tainted subject now because people have co-opted it for various reasons that may or may not be dubious, but here's my point. So Star Wars, this sequel trilogy had two prime opportunities to take the Skywalkers and Palpatines out of the story and focus on a brand new cast of characters. And what makes it so egregious is because it always works in Star Wars. When you look at the Clone Wars with Ahsoka Tano, when you look at Rebels with the whole Ghost crew, when you look at The Force Unleashed with Starkiller, whenever Star Wars focuses on brand new characters,
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Oh, we're gonna get to Rogue One and how awesome that movie was. When they focus on characters that are independent from the core Skywalker family drama, it works. It works because there's so much you can do and use and play with in that space. And with Finn, obviously, we went there back and forth on how missed of an opportunity that was with Finn. But if you knew you were going to commit to Rey as the main character, do you know how powerful it would have been for her to just be Rey as the protagonist who can then forge her own journey, and what that would have meant to all of young women out there, like just a brand new original female badass who has her own convictions and reasoning for being a Jedi, for following in the ways of the light side, and if need be, overcoming the dark side at its most pinnacle point. And then you just say, oh, fuck it, we'll just make her a Palpatine because
I'm tired of him. I'm sorry. I am tired of Palpatine. Like, I am tired of his old wrinkly ass. I am tired of this man.
And it's like they obviously knew that the Kenobi thing that J.J. was kind of alluding to didn't make a lick of sense, because there is no way that Obi-Wan could have had any sort of daughter that would have been that age at the time of A New Hope. Like, that, it just didn't make sense, which again shows JJ just not understanding the assignment, because he just kept throwing shit out there that when you thought about it just didn't make sense. I mean, I got to give him props for trying to give John something to do in The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to shade that, but overall, like Aaron said at the jump, ruined Star Wars. His mystery box approach ruined the sequel trilogy.
It worked for Lost. It worked for Lost, but it doesn't work here.
It barely worked for Lost, if we're being honest. But that's a different topic for a different day. But
I'm just gonna shut up. I'm just gonna shut up.
Avia's a Lost fan. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. I didn't mean to trespass. Hands up, don't shoot.
I was about to say, because I've heard nothing but great things about that show.
Hands up, don't shoot.
I heard nothing but great things about the sequel trilogy, but here we are.
Here you go. That they could have done is that, like, when Kylo said, "You're nothing," like your parents were scavengers, like your parents were trash pickers, like they left you here, and that would have, seeing her being a nobody and then becoming, like, she had like no Palpatine relation, like, but seeing her becoming a strong Jedi is like, whoa. Like,
imagine your two primary protagonists, your two leads, coming from nothing and then saving the galaxy and being the new legend in Star Wars.
Just
the old guard literally passing the torch.
And and Kylo could have, even though he did kind of have it in the sequel.
Kylo representing the bridge between the old and the new, and his death signifying the, like, how.
I was gonna say, like, he could have this, like, even though he's very force sensitive, he's very strong, he could still have this, like, yeah, he had it, like, he did have it. Vader's grandson, what you gonna do? Like, she could be like, okay, and then just go off on him. Like, that's what I wanted. They didn't really, like.
I wish they had pointed out that Vader came from nothing, but
he literally came from nothing. Right. He literally,
and she can read his mind, and she can read it, and she can see the helmet, like she can see Vader's helmet, and she can, like, use the Force and see that he was just a little boy on Tatooine who was a slave. Like, your grandfather was nothing.
You know what, y'all?
Like, she get right back at him, but she never did. Like, she never did that. And I'm gonna be honest, they really didn't. Not until maybe they kind of used it in 9, but they really didn't truly tap into her Force powers. Like, the first time we saw it was when she was locked up in in the Force Awakens. Like, you will remove these restraints. It's like, I will, like that when the light.
Not Daniel Craig.
You know what? I hate this. Not because we're wrong. No, we're not wrong. We're absolutely right. But because we have fallen into the trap of complaining about Star Wars. And I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But it's necessary this time.
See, we're critiquing it. We're critiquing
Right.
it.
Yes,
That's we should.
We're not complaining as fans. We just saying that y'all could have did a little bit better. Y'all know what y'all tried it.
Right.
Oh, they tried it all right.
Oh, that's whatever. It was cute or whatever.
Right. Gorgeous gowns.
Gorgeous gowns.
Like,
do you carry a little tune?
Right. That if you take something down, like if you break something down, you have the responsibility to bring it back up. And what this Star Wars did, it did give a new outlook on what Star Wars could be, even though they fumbled the bag.
Mm-hmm.
They fumbled the bag. But also it made stars out of Daisy and John. Like, and I remember the first time I saw John Boyega, I saw him at Attack the Block. And if y'all have not seen Attack the Block,
fantastic movie.
Please do, because it's about these young London teens living on their block, and it's an alien invasion, and they have to fight off aliens. Like, it is.
Oh wow!
And John Boyega plays Moses, the leader of the group, and there's some social commentary in there as well, because Moses even mentions it. Like, it is a great movie. If y'all have not seen it, please find it on some streaming service or whatever website y'all use and watch it, please.
Yes.
Richard didn't have John's back when he was.
They didn't.
You know, in 2020.
Oh man,
they had them black squares.
That I'm happy, and some of those people they ran Daisy off Instagram. She just recently got back on. They were wrong for what they did, but yeah, they it made stars out of them. It showed visually what Star Wars could be. I mean, we've seen it before in the OG trilogy and the prequels, but this one, like, it was visually stunning. Like, you could actually see like the definition of the lightning and the electricity of the lightsabers, and like, it was visually, they were visually stunning to look at. Like,
I'll say this, and this will be the final word in the story of Skywalker. Damn, did I just forget my lame joke that quickly? Like, it was very lame, but I really wanted to tell it. Anyways, we reaching our time limit.
Kathleen Kennedy tease.
Damn, I just forgot it that quickly. And it was like super lame too. I guess it wasn't that funny. Oh, yes, I do. I just remembered it. Pacific Rim Uprising. He had a cool scene where he was standing real serious. That's all I can say about that one. Final closing remarks on the sequel trilogy as we put it to bed. More like a cot. Put it on the cot.
Nail it to a coffin right now.
Put him in a coffin?
Nail it.
Cement coffin, put the cement on it. Cement shoes.
I mean, bury it. You see how it just disappeared?
This might be our best. This might be our best one yet. Because we didn't have nothing nice to say really all too much.
You going through your bag and there's unnecessary stuff in it. Like,
the mystery box.
Another one.
That's the mystery box.
Well, folks, the next time you see us talk about Star Wars after this video, it'll be about, in my opinion, what has been the strongest thing about Star Wars, what have kept it going the strongest, and that is spinoffs. And yeah, those things are A1, steak sauce. But in any case, we have been your good old-fashioned Multiversity, giving y'all that sequel trilogy critique that y'all want so badly. We apologize if y'all like these movies a lot. But y'all know how it's been. This has been going on for like 7 years now. Y'all already know how this goes. And yeah, prequel trilogies definitely over sequel trilogies. Ian, you was right. And all I can say is Finn should have been bi so he could have got down with Poe and Rey, and fuck Raylos. We will see y'all later. Peace.